Kollections, and this one is going to blow your mind. This is possibly one of the finest collections in the land, and I am here today. I'm so lucky to be here in lovely Donegal with my good friend Paul Foley, who has an unmatchable World Cup jersey collection, and he is going to share that with us today. Paul, you've been collecting World Cup memorabilia for
45 years.
45 years.
I think the first World Cup that I took a very keen interest was the 1978 World Cup in Argentina.
Okay.
And that really...
Mario Kempes.
And just the style of football that the Argentinians played, and the atmosphere that they created in the grounds, and it just, as a youngster, it just it really intrigued me, to even go and find out the names of Cordoba and all the different venues that there were in Argentina. I wrote to the Argentinian embassy in London. I just embraced myself in it.
Infatuated from the outset, a World Cup aficionado from a 10, 11-year-old boy.
Yes.
So you started collecting memorabilia, posters, anything to do with
I suppose it started
Cups.
off with football stickers, the Panini and FKS.
Gateway drug kids, be careful.
Sticker albums, and the information that they gave me as to the language that these countries spoke. I remember realizing that in 1974 that Haiti spoke French. Has stuck with me to this day. And I think it's a great way of introducing yourself to a wider geographical knowledge of. There's a big world out there. Wow,
that's amazing. I love people's Genesis stories. That's really cool. So you fast forward a number of years later. We will talk about the World Cup memorabilia maybe at some other stage. But in the last sort of 5 or 6 years,
more recent years, with the advent of the popularity of jerseys, and I suppose with the world becoming a smaller place, and that we can obtain things from other countries through the internet, whether it be America, South America, Europe, etc. That led me into the whole world of football jerseys.
Football jerseys, and not any football jersey.
Well, as a collector, I think what I've realised is that you have to set parameters. I've gone down the route of collecting Ireland football programmes and tickets back to the 1920s and the 1930s. As a fan of Birmingham City, I've collected their programmes. And as time went on, I suppose I wanted to narrow it down to one thing that I felt was my true love.
And you picked a particularly interesting niche, which is
World Cup match worn, match issued, and in certain cases replica signed World Cup tournament jerseys.
Wow. So right in at the very top, we only want World Cup worn, issued, or signed by players,
and preferably where it can be classified to a specific player, to a specific match, and if possible a certificate of authenticity to show its provenance, etc.
Of course. Wow. So that must have brought you on quite the interesting journey, I would imagine.
I suppose it allows you to delve into different eras and different times in history, and soak up the experience that existed at that time. And I suppose that led me, when you said to me about choosing 10 jerseys, rather than go on templates or colours or designs of which I thought I liked, I felt it was going to be more interesting for me to go on a historical journey, going back in time.
Wow.
And that's how I've narrowed down the 10 jerseys.
The near impossible task of picking your 10 favourite. Well, so you're going to bring us on a historical journey.
Historical.
Okay, well, let's go.
So,
let's bring us. Where do we start?
I spoke there about America, and this jersey is a match-worn jersey of Terry Phelan's from the 1994 World Cup. Now, it's interesting with Terry Phelan that towards the end of his career, he ended up coaching in the United States of America. And for whatever reason, a lot of his memorabilia went into storage. And it would appear at some stage that Terry, unfortunately, couldn't pay the storage costs. And some items ultimately then went up for auction. Now, in the past, I've had a pennies shirt that Terry wore during the 1994 World Cup campaign.
Okay.
A blazer, and I've passed them on to people who collect them more so than me. But this specific jersey came up in auction, and it was from the last 16 match against the Netherlands.
Holland.
Yes.
Netherlands, yeah, okay.
And
which we lost.
We what? Lost
2-1.
Just 1 second.
2-1. 2-0.
2-0.
2-0. Bonner made a bit of a goalkeeping mishap for the second goal, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, 2-0 in the Citrus Bowl.
In Orlando. At midday.
At midday. Yes.
Midday. Yeah. Who would put an Irish man out in Orlando at midday?
And I think
FIFA.
We were spoiled on the basis that we'd reached such high levels in getting to the quarterfinal in the 1990 World Cup that we had an expectation in 94,
of course,
to go on.
Well, beating Italy probably didn't help. But
yes, and that increased our expectation even more, you know. So I think nearly to a certain extent that match in Orlando in 1994 we had reached our pinnacle in international football. I was just reading there about the FIFA rankings. I think we were up to 6th or something like that. You know, 6th in the world.
We're lucky to get 46th now.
Yeah, I think we're down in the 50s now or something like that. You know,
wow.
So it
epitomises like the golden era and the zenith of Irish football.
Exactly.
That was when we were at our peak.
It's
one of the greatest.
What Jack Charlton brought us to that level where we genuinely thought in the last 16 of we were disappointed to be beaten 2-0
by a very good Holland time with Blair Camp and et al. On it. Wow, well
that's where we're starting.
That's where we're starting. This is only going to get better, guys.
1994.
Well, let's see where we can go from here. So, okay, what's next on the list?
So we jump back in time then to 1990, and what we have. Sorry, Paul. What we have is I've lost it there now. We're jumping back now to
1990.
Sorry, we're jumping back to 1982.
1982.
1982. And what we have here is a jersey from the 1982 World Cup final.
World Cup final?
World Cup final.
No.
Now, it's match issued because it wasn't actually worn in the final.
Okay.
And strangely, who it belonged to was the Italian goalkeeper.
He was issued an outfield shirt?
Yes.
Okay, why was that?
It seems to be that he had this underneath the grey normal Italian jersey that was worn.
Okay. in case they needed him outfield. And what was his name?
His name was Ivano Bordan. Ivano Bordan.
So this was
issued to him.
Issued in 1982. We're talking Mexico?
No, Spain.
Oh, Spain, sorry. So in Madrid? Was it in the Bernabeu?
Santiago Bernabeu, Madrid.
Bernabeu.
West
Italy
Germany
versus West Germany.
3-1 to Italy.
3-1 Italy.
Yeah.
Is this Tardelli? No.
Yes.
Or
yes.
the famous
yes.
wheeling away celebration.
Yeah. So Italy are 3
of Irish coaching fame.
Italy are 3-0 up basically, and then Paul Breitner, West Germany, scores a consolation goal for West Germany.
Wow.
So
of your collection, you haven't got many from an actual World Cup final.
No.
This is the only one.
Recently, there was an auction for a Holland jersey from the 1978 World Cup, and that sold for £7,500.
Ouch.
So,
okay.
I would like to do more research to find out why he was issued with an outfield jersey.
He's dead, I presume, is he?
Not as far as I'm aware.
Okay. Maybe ring the man up himself. Interesting enough, Italy until the late 90s had they weren't allowed to put the manufacturer on the crest. Yeah. Well, that is a sensational piece of footballing history. Yeah. Amazing. Okay, where are you bringing us to next?
Okay, still at
We're staying
1982.
In 1982. Oh my goodness.
We have our northern friends.
Wow.
And our ex-Republic of Ireland manager, Martin O'Neill.
This is Martin O'Neill's match-worn jersey. From the World Cup in
1982 World
From which
Cup
game?
Versus Honduras.
Wow.
So Martin was actually...
Oh my God.
Martin was actually captain in that match of the Northern Ireland team. And it was a 1-1 draw between Northern Ireland and Honduras.
They could beat Spain, but they couldn't beat Honduras.
Mark came off in the 77th minute. He was substituted.
Threw his jersey in disgust into the crowd, and you caught it as a small boy.
He actually gave it to a kitman, and it has come through a kitman who brought it back from Spain.
That belongs in the museum. That is, and look at the Adidas trefoil type numbering on it. So the collar, which is classic 1982. The embroidery, the detail on this jersey compared to the Italian one is almost like a higher spec, isn't
it? That's
like,
right.
Yeah,
well, I always find with the Italian jerseys, there's not a lot of detail.
No.
They're very
There's the
blue,
and the
tricolor,
and tricolor, yeah.
It's very, as you say, early Adidas 1980s.
Yeah, it's almost like the tail end of the 70s still coming in with the collar.
It reminds you of Ipswich Town in the 1978 FA Cup final.
Look at that.
Something similar.
That is exquisite. Wow. Have you met Martin? Does he know you have it?
I'm led to believe he either has or is building a holiday home in Donegal.
No, yes.
And because it was public knowledge, because I think he might have been turned down for planning permission or something like that.
I seem to recall something. Was it while he was a manager? There was some who had...
Towards the end So I'll find out if he is... if he is about...
Rock up to his door wearing it. How are you, Martin? How are you?
I'll ask him to call in one of the days and just let him know that on his way down to Dunfanaghy, I think it is, I'll let him know that it's here.
Okay.
So we're again staying with the 1982 World Cup. A similar kind of template from Adidas.
So pretty much the same template, but it's all red and the...
So this is Juanito.
And look at the detail, golden thread in the embroidery of the Royal Coat of Arms. Really delicate little Adidas trefoil. A yellow that they've only recently gone back to, I noticed. Spain and black socks needs to be a thing again. I have a
That's
little
right,
bit of
that's
bone
right,
of contention.
that's right.
It used to be blue shorts, black socks. I don't know why that stopped, but it needs to happen again, Adidas. So, Juanito, so match worn in...
Match worn versus West Germany in the Santiago Bernabeu, Madrid on the 2nd of July 82 in front of an impressive crowd of 90,089 people.
Wow.
Unfortunately, 2-1 to West Germany.
So this is when Spain got knocked out of the World Cup. This is the last 16 or the quarterfinals?
If you remember back at that stage,
it was 4, so not
really. They had group stages, they had initial group stages,
and then a second group
stages.
Okay, yeah.
And from memory, this group consisted of West Germany, Spain, and England.
Jesus Christ.
And West Germany qualified out of the 3 teams in the second group stage.
Wow. That is sensational. I hope you don't mind, I'm sticking my hand under the plastic just to say that I've touched these because I might not get the opportunity ever again to hold something so rich in World Cup history. This is beautiful. Oh, and the 7 is actually like a flock number, and it's a different design from the Northern Ireland numbers, which is a little bit unusual as well. Yeah.
Yes, that's the traditional.
That's traditional Adidas numbers. Yeah. 78. Wow. This, like, it doesn't get any better than this. Like, I'm in heaven right now. This is polyester heaven. I think I might rebrand the podcast.
Back again, 1978, Argentina.
We're going further back in time. So this is you.
This is me coming into
looking
my
on the black and white telly.
Yeah.
Black and white kit.
Yeah.
West Germany.
Yeah. Dieter Müller.
Yeah. Anything to Gerd?
Not as far as
Muller is a fairly common German name, isn't it?
I do have a little website that's been created by my nephew, Matthew Foley. And what Matthew does is he goes into a bit of depth in each jersey and he tells a little bit of story.
Okay, right.
And from memory, Dieter Müller, I think, was adopted. Okay. It's amazing how each of the players have their own, they're human.
Of course.
And they have their own lives.
Sometimes we forget that.
We forget that. Yeah. And I think Matthew discovered that he had been adopted and his stepfather had changed his name.
Cool.
You know, so it's entitled World Cup Shirt Stories.
World Cup Shirt Stories. And that website is live?
Yes, www.
World Cup
Shirt
Stories.
It's on WordPress.com.
Or
yes, I think it's .com.
World Cup Shirt Stories.
Yeah. We can share a link.
Check that out. I'll put up a
and there's a nice little, as I say, background story to the player who wore each jersey and whatever his story is.
Okay.
You know.
And this was worn in which game in 1978?
It is West Germany versus Netherlands. Again, a World Cup group stage, Group A, played in Cordoba on the 18th of June 1978 in front of 40,750, and the final score in that match was 2-2 with Dieter Müller scoring the second German goal in the 70th minute.
Wearing this? Yes. Wearing this actual shirt?
Yes.
So this shirt has scored a goal in the World Cup?
In the World Cup. And it's come via Germany, obviously. It's come from Germany. Now, it always intrigues me, and Paul might be able to explain to me the link between the maker Arima.
Are the
connected to Adidas?
Not to the best of my knowledge. Germany were with Arima before.
Right. I wasn't sure whether Arima were
No, I have had some kits, especially from the 90s. I haven't seen any modern kits in quite a while from them, but to the best of my knowledge, Germany were with Adidas for 74, weren't they?
Yeah. Yes, definitely 74.
So they obviously went, with someone else, and then by '82 they were back
with Adidas.
with Adidas, and with them since until they signed with Nike this year, which is crazy.
Oh, that's right.
That's a story for another day. But that is beautiful. It's just so simple and so classy.
Yes.
You can't. There's never been a bad Germany kit in my eyes. Like they've always been the epitome of style and class.
It's only recently that I've found out, and I think we will see other jerseys here, but one of them that has to be on the list of my holy grail is the German kit from the 1938 World Cup.
The 1938 World Cup.
It's worth looking up.
Okay, well, that's
the closest I've seen.
We'll have to do a separate video altogether on that as well.
The closest I've seen is a badge from a jersey from the 1938 World Cup. Now, some people might find it a bit
controversial.
Okay. But, I'm looking beyond the politics and I'm looking at.
As collectors, we have to sometimes.
Yes.
Okay, so where are you bringing us now? Are you bringing us back in time? We're going forward in time?
Back in time again, Paul, and this time we're going back to an era of domination by the Netherlands. And
this is 1974. 74. So
this is 74 World Cup that was held in West Germany.
Okay. Total football, are we talking Johan Cruyff?
Johan Cruyff, Neeskens, Ari Hahn, Ruud Krul, Johnny Rep. For me, the names roll off my tongue because they were from an era where Dutch football dominated, not alone in Europe with Ajax winning the European Cup 3 years in a row, but also on a world basis where they reached the final of 2 consecutive World Cups. Johan Cruyff obviously was one of my heroes growing up from his style of play. What we're looking at now is a Holland jersey worn by Rob Rensenbrink.
Rob Rensenbrink.
Is
this Adidas now with 3 stripes?
Yes.
Or there's no indication of Adidas?
No, but
anywhere.
it is.
But the colour is the same colour used in 1990.
Yes.
1974.
Right.
Very modern type approach.
Yeah.
Considering some of the others look quite dated, this still looks almost modern again.
From what I've read and what I can recall, the whole Adidas kit was a bone of contention, and I could be corrected now, but if you look at Johan Cruyff's jersey from the 1974 World Cup final,
he had 2 stripes.
He only has 2 stripes.
I read that before.
He doesn't have the 3 stripes because
he had a boot deal with somebody else.
Yes, I'm not sure if it was Puma or somebody like that.
Right. Okay.
But
this is Adidas.
This is Adidas.
There's no.
For me, it just is.
So this was worn in.
So this is what's nice about this jersey
is the number set.
The provenance is really
stitched on.
The provenance is really strong in this jersey, in that it was worn in a match between the Netherlands and East Germany, not West Germany.
In the World Cup.
In the 1974 World Cup. So while the 1974 World Cup, the venue was West Germany, both West Germany and East Germany qualified for the World Cup and actually ended up playing each other. And East Germany actually beat West Germany.
Which
the
was
player that actually scored the winning goal in the East Germany versus West Germany match is the player that exchanged this jersey with Rob Rensenbrink.
Wow.
And he's called Jürgen Sparwasser. He's seemingly, if not one of the most popular and well-known East German footballers.
Okay.
So this match...
So he swapped it with him?
With Rob Rensenbrink.
Okay.
And it comes to me from Germany via Jürgen Sparwasser.
Wow.
So the provenance is good because there is film showing them exchanging jerseys.
Oh wow! Of the actual exchange.
Yes. And sorry, there's photographs.
Okay.
And Holland won 2-0.
This was in the game versus East Germany.
Correct.
2-0.
Correct.
And you can probably almost check with the stitching and the photos as well.
Renton Brink scores the second goal
as well
in the 59th minute.
No.
Yeah.
So this is also another jersey that has
a scorer.
Actually. And back then, I suppose they were issued one jersey.
Oh yes.
There was none of this
no
one for each half and one for swapping or whatever. So this is
the actual jersey. Yes.
The real
deal.
Blood, sweat, tears. Ingrained
and again
in
on the website, my nephew Matthew has incorporated the video of Renton Brink scoring a goal. So Renton Brink had a very successful career with Anderlecht in Belgium.
Okay.
He has won, I think it is the most UEFA Cups or something like that. He's very to me now, he was one of those Dutch players that stood out and was very skillful and was part of that total Dutch football between 74 and 78.
Wow, it's just some of the best football we've ever seen. And of course, adopted and, malleable or molded into the modern sort of Barcelona ethos, I suppose.
Right.
That's
the movement, the changing of positions and
the
swapping of player positions.
That's when Johan Cruyff tried to implement that sort of style into
Barcelona.
I
never thought of that you can see Cruyff nearly as the transition between the Dutch style of play to Barcelona.
Because Johan Cruyff, of course, put his own sort of he was well able to speak for himself. So he would have put his own stamp. And part of the reason why he left Barcelona was that he felt his power was diminishing and he was an all or nothing sort of guy. But you can still see his legacy in the way Barcelona play football. It goes back to his teammates in the early 1970s.
So we now go to, we're still in 1974.
We're staying in 1974. Hold the DeLorean. We're not going anywhere.
Starting to still get excited because this,
I'm already really excited.
This player,
if you're only,
when I was a child and you were playing football in the schoolyard or on the pitch or on the street, and you got a free kick and you said, I am this player now because I'm taking this free kick.
In 1974?
Yes. So this player played in the 1970 World Cup in the great team. Now, obviously there's no name on the back of it, but...
Socrates? No.
No, Socrates is 82. This is the great Rivellino.
Oh,
Rivellino. So when I was a child,
goodness. Look at those elongated numbers.
When I was a child and you were playing and you got a free kick or a penalty, you were either the great Peter Lorimer, who played for Leeds in Scotland, or you were Rivellino.
They were the free kick takers of the era.
They were the original Roberto Carlos style free kicks and that.
And did he score a free kick wearing this shirt?
Well, this jersey.
Oh wow, look at the feel of that.
That is jersey exquisite. Comes from a match between Brazil and East Germany again.
Brazil and East Germany again, okay.
Played in Hanover.
In Hanover.
In the 1974 World Cup.
Whoa.
And what happens in that game is that the score is 1-0 to Brazil, and the scorer with a free kick is Rivellino. Again, my nephew has incorporated the video. It is a unique free kick, and at the time the whole world thought that he meant it, in that he put one of his colleagues in the wall, and his colleague ducked, his playmate ducked, and the ball went through the wall into the East German net.
Wow.
And it was thought that
It was
intentional, but in later years he revealed it was by accident, that his teammate was just ducking to get out of the way.
Which is probably the first incident of a goal like that. Obviously, replicated a lot in the modern times, but
so he scored that in the 60th minute.
Wow!
Again,
just to have
the jersey comes via our friend Jürgen Sparwasser, the East German player.
Oh, okay.
And it was swapped with Jürgen Sparwasser, and again we have evidence, both photographic and film, of him exchanging the jersey at the
that's insane.
at the end of the game.
That's such a brilliant
so it's
story.
nice to be so close to.
Yeah, of course. Especially of that Brazil. Where did Brazil finish in the 74? They won it in 70.
Third. They got to the third place playoff where they played Poland.
They were still at the pinnacle. They were up
so,
there with the best teams in the world.
Revellino and
was Pele still playing in 74? No, 70 was his
70 was his
because
last
he was number 10.
Yes.
Okay.
So Jairzinho, I don't know if you've heard of the great Jairzinho, and Revellino were the last of that great 1970 team, who still were playing it. What's interesting as well about Revellino, when we were researching it, was he seems to be one of the first players who ended his career and go to Saudi Arabia.
Oh.
So it's funny how 50 years later...
He went to Saudi Arabia in the 70s?
Yes.
No way.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
So, again, another fact.
History repeats itself.
Yeah, we seem to be...
That is spectacular. Just to have any Brazil shirt, carries the weight of a footballing nation, but to have one that...
I think for me, again, when you said about choosing 10, I had to choose 10 that had historical content to it, or a historical link. And I think when you're talking about Brazilian football and the likes of Revellino and stuff like that, it doesn't get much better than that.
Wow.
Again, we don't leave 1974, and I think you've seen this before, Paul. And
I did see this at Kit Con, yes. Con.
And while the previous two were match worn and exchanged with players, this one was a substitute's jersey by a Swedish player called Conny Torstensson. But what I love about this jersey is it comes from a game in which created football history. In that Sweden were playing the Netherlands in the 1974 World Cup, and again our great friend Johan Cruyff, for the first time in public in a game, performs the Cruyff turn.
In this game?
In this game.
No way.
So while Conny
obviously
Torstensson,
a boyhood hero of yours, and one of the most iconic footballing moments, you have
a jersey
that was on the pitch.
Well,
beside the pitch.
Beside the pitch. It came actually via a Polish journalist who was at the game.
No way.
And Torstensson actually had a very...
So would they have squad numbers or
he
World Cup numbers?
Yeah, he actually played in 2 or 3 games in the tournament. But in this actual game he didn't play. He was an unused substitute. But he had a great career with Bayern Munich. I think he won 3 European Cups during the 70s. So while...
What was the name? Torstensson?
Conny Torstensson.
And this taping, the Adidas taping, which is probably the first instance of
Torstensson.
Possibly the first incident of the actual Adidas taping on the sleeves.
And the mate, Paul?
And the embroidery. Oh, it's obviously not Adidas then, no. Cooper. Never heard of it. So they're not Adidas stripes. That's okay. Well, looks like Adidas numbers as well.
It does.
Okay. That is exquisite. That is so nice. So nice. And what a really special piece to have. Okay, I'm not really sure you're going to be able to show me anything better than what you've shown me so far. Are you saying there's like other aces up your sleeves?
Again, historical significance.
Okay.
For me. And where we're going back to now is 1950.
What?
And
1950.
And what we're actually looking at is a replica jersey. Surprisingly.
Didn't have replica jerseys in the 1950s.
Yeah. In Uruguay they did anyway.
What?
Yeah. And this is...
And we get the chance to take this out of the plastic. How lucky are we?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a replica jersey of the the Uruguayan team that won the 1950 World Cup, who famously beat Brazil 2-0 in
the Maracanã. Well, it caused a riot nearly, didn't it?
I think there was over 100,000 or 150,000 there. So
Whoa.
it turned the football world upside down. But
Brazil were still wearing white at this time.
Yes.
This triggered the whole
change of colour.
Change of colour thing, didn't it? This is a disaster.
Yes.
Until
on home ground, getting to the final.
Until 2014 when they had a whole new disaster. But anyway. Whoa. So who was number 10?
10. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this properly. Alcides Giggia or Giggia. Ghigia.
Giggia.
Wow. And what seemingly in Uruguayan folklore, he's up there. Okay. He is at the pinnacle on the basis that he scored in that match against Brazil.
That was 1-0.
I think it was 2-0. I think it was 2-0. I'm not sure whether he scored
the
one of the
goal
goals
or
anyway,
one of the
whether it was
goals,
the winning goal. And what I like about this jersey is just the simplicity of it being a replica jersey with his
Which
signature.
before replica jerseys were a thing, right?
Well,
replica jerseys weren't a thing till the 70s, 80s, really, were they? Or?
I was thinking about it. I was lucky enough in the early 70s, 73, 74, 75 to be at the advent of the introduction of branded jerseys, with specifically with Admiral, who were the kit makers for the English national team, Wales, Leeds United,
Manchester
United. It was actually the famous Leeds manager Don Revie. He introduced Admiral at Leeds United, and they were the first, in effect, branded kit
to be sold to the public.
Correct. There were no, in effect, well, they were actually the first branded kits that were worn in the matches, where it obviously displayed. If you look at any pictures prior to that, like for example,
the manufacturer's logo on them.
Right. Off the top of my head, I think England wore Umbro in 1966 in the World Cup final. It may be on the label,
but it wasn't on the front. You're right.
No, you won't see it. It's not until.
So in Uruguay, is this a world's first in that, were the replicas issued during the World Cup or as a commemorative piece after they had won?
I can't actually answer that, Paul, but I do know some contacts in Uruguay, and I must ask them. I'm led to believe it's a fairly early replica. Whether it's a 1950 replica, I'm not sure. I can't answer that. I don't know how far it goes.
Well, it's definitely, you can tell from the.
I don't know how contemporary.
Yeah, from the types of construction and stuff on it, you can tell that it's definitely pre 70s and 60s.
Do you think so?
Oh yeah, I would say so. Yeah. Well, what do I know? I mean, you would know more. But even the application and the kind of raised sort of numbers and the fact that it has a little rip on it, and his signature is quite.
It's strong.
Artistic as well, isn't it? There's nice flow about it, and you can tell he struggled with the fabric and writing it on it, which makes it. A beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful.
But again,
piece to have.
Matthew has gone into detail on the background to the player on the website and,
Okay.
and got given details about him, etc., and his playing career. So if anybody wants to find out more about the player, look on the website.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
put that banner up on the website again, worldcupshirtstories.com. So this is it now. Now I have been like, even before we came and started filming on, I've been looking at the wall, and all the shirts that you see on the wall are all match worn World Cup tournament shirts, or issued or signed by Lothar Matthäus
Maradona,
and you know,
Ronaldo.
the sort of stuff that us polyester nerds will be salivating at. So the fact we've whittled this down to a top 10 is really, really, I can imagine it's been a labour of love. And I haven't actually seen these top 10 until you have. You're seeing my genuine reaction here on screen. So without further ado, let's see what's number one. I feel I should close my eyes or something. I don't know.
Well,
hit me square between.
I think there are times in our life that something comes into our possession, and we feel privileged that during our lifetime we've had the opportunity to see or feel or talk about a jersey. I'd be very surprised if I ever can talk about, feel or own a jersey as unique as this jersey now that we're going to look at. It's probably a European first for this jersey to be revealed, in that it hasn't been outside of South America since it was first manufactured. And for me, as a World Cup collector, the pinnacle has to be the first World Cup that took place in Uruguay in 1930. And the reason they chose Uruguay was because Uruguay were celebrating their 100-year independence. They had become independent in 1830.
Who did they get their independence from?
So, from a research, Uruguay became independent from Spain in 1811 and ultimately had total independence in 1828. Thus, as a consequence, FIFA gave the Uruguayan Football Association the rights to hold the first FIFA World Cup in 1930 to commemorate 100 years of Uruguayan independence. As we know, at that time things were hard in the world with the depression and long distances to travel, so the Uruguayan Football Association had to gather together 16 participants. And what we're going to see now is a jersey from the 1930 World Cup.
Wow.
Of one of those participating countries.
Okay.
Okay. So obviously,
I'm really nervous. Okay, go on.
Obviously,
oh
for
my
me,
goodness.
this is the pinnacle of collecting football jerseys, specifically World
1930. This is 100 years old, this piece of fabric.
Correct. Match worn from the 1930 World Cup. And it is actually a Bolivian international football team jersey. Bears no resemblance to the current colours of Bolivia.
Any particular reason for the colour? Or
not as far as aware.
Whatever was available.
Grey, yeah.
And the V then, what? Is this a
the
chevron?
V,
or?
The V bears no resemblance to what country is represented. And the V is a story attached to the 1930 World Cup. So the Bolivian Football Association, in appreciation for being invited to partake in the first World Cup, decided to put a different letter on each of the players' jerseys. And when you put all the players together in a line that slogan was Viva Uruguay. So thus, this is
I think I've seen that photograph.
This is one of the V's of Viva.
The V or the VA?
I'm not sure whether it's the first or third.
Wow.
We can see the photograph on the website, and
worn by
DeJones Lara.
DeJones Lara.
Wow. Who I think ultimately went on to become the Bolivian national team manager in 1946.
Oh wow.
So this comes from a match that was played in the Parque Central in Montevideo, between Bolivia and Yugoslavia, where Yugoslavia ran out 4-0 winners.
Yugoslavia, very strong team back then, I guess.
But for anybody who has a degree of detail and a look at the photograph of the lineup before the match, they may notice that one of the Uruguayan players who had a U on the front of the jersey hadn't made it out of the changing rooms in time, and thus Uruguay is spelled incorrectly without a U.
Without one U?
Without one U.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
All that's missing is you. Yeah. Wow, that is just...
So we spoke earlier about
amazing.
the likeness of contemporary jerseys and with the Airtex and airflow. There's not too much airflow in this jersey.
No, you might get a little bit of airflow here, but it's heavy.
Heavy duty.
Heavy. And it was probably very lightweight for the time, maybe.
Yeah,
it was probably quite modern and innovative at the time. Beautiful square stitching there and lovely kind of a grandad collar. There's no eyelets. It's just like a rough stitching, heavy cord. The V is probably sewn on at a later date. Looks like it's cut out of
felt.
It's kind of satiny, is it, or something? But it's very, very roughly cut and roughly stitched on.
As was the fashion in the first World Cup, the tie up collar with these laces. So
okay, so the pinnacle of World Cup.
Yeah, I suppose for me, Paul, as a World Cup collector, you know, you're going back to the origins and to the inaugural World Cup that took place in 1930 in Uruguay. And for me, with the history that's attached to it, I would be very surprised if I come across another World Cup jersey match-worn jersey that could beat this.
Yeah.
You know, I suppose horses for courses for different people. Some people might say, oh yeah, Messi jersey from 2022. To me, this has more.
Yeah, more resonance. Like,
you know.
Well, to finish off then, I normally ask people, like, if it was a carte blanche and you had an opportunity to pick any jersey that you could in the world.
I think on this journey, one that I've come across recently that I didn't really know much about was the German 1938 World Cup jersey. And I think based on the world that existed at that time in 1932 or 1938, I think that would hold a lot of attraction for me. Just the
historical
significance of that journey, of that jersey. You know, have we ever had a time like that before? 1938, World War II is just about to break out. You know, there's a lot on it. A lot riding on it.
It's a lot riding on it. So if you have a 1938 West Germany jersey out there, please let us know. Or Germany, would have been Germany, not even West Germany. Yes. This has been quite possibly the best Kitbox collection so far. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Paul, thank you so much for having me. It was an absolute pleasure to go through your shirts. Please continue to like and subscribe if you've liked the content, and keep an eye out for the next video. Thanks a lot.